but it's, again, it just tells the story of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Franky Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Franky Rose.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Think Tank. So we're going to talk a little bit about Noah Presgrove. Now, he's a kid that went to a party this last September, a birthday party for a friend, Avery, possible girlfriend, not sure. And about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, no one could find Noah. And a little bit past, right around about 5 o'clock a.m., truck drivers, 2 of them, found Noah laying on Highway 81 in the fetal position with no clothes on except shoes, 2 different types of shoes. Very, very unusual. It's been said that this is not a hit and run. Police have already determined that this is not a hit and run, but they're also saying they don't have a case here because they don't know what could have happened. It makes no sense to me. So I thought, you know what, we'll go through this together and maybe you guys can help me make some sense out of this. Okay, so I think first what I would like to do is learn a little bit about Noah. Now, sadly, we have to learn it through an obituary, but it is what it is. I don't know. What happened to Noah? So Noah Alexander Presgrove, a lifelong resident of Comanche, passed away in the early mornings of Monday, September 4th, 2023 in Jefferson County. He was 19 years old. They had his funeral on September 11th at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And this happened in his high school gymnasium. Pastor Mike McCord and Pastor Mike Chambers officiated under the direction of Comanche Funeral Home. They had an interment at the Fairlawn Cemetery. They had a viewing 1 to 5 on Sunday and Monday at 9 a.m. until noon. So Noah was born on May 14th, 2004 in Duncan, Oklahoma. He graduated from Comanche High School just a few months before this happened. Noah had a very outgoing personality. He was very spontaneous. He was both a country boy and a ladies' man. He loved the outdoors and anything to do with water. He also loved skateboarding. Noah was a true friend to all who knew him. You guys hear me okay? Everything's going good? Hello, 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 everyone. Hello. So it says, Noah was a true friend to all who knew him. He was an accomplished athlete at the Comanche High School, where he lettered in football, wrestling, cross-country skiing, and track. And he also attended Ray of Hope Church. So people who survived him, his father, Victor Presgrove, and his wife, Tara. His mother, Casey Elliott, from Duncan, Oklahoma. His siblings, Skylar Stengall from Duncan, Daylene Presgrove and wife, Dalen Presgrove, and his wife, Jessica of Coram, Oklahoma. DJ Elliott from Duncan, Stormy Alvarado, and Aaron. Peyton Ford from North Carolina, Alana Presgrove from Comanche. He had a big family. Braley Presgrove from Comanche, Madison Rawlings and Walker Matagorda in Texas. His grandparents, Ellen and Linda Presgrove from Meadville. Deborah Smith from Duncan, and great-grandmother Sandra Quisenberry from Duncan. A great-grandfather, Rodney Smith. In Texas, he has aunts and uncles, Robin Smith and Keith Quisenberry. No, Smith, I'm sorry, from Comanche. Vinnie Presgrove from North Carolina. Jada Fitch from Meadville. Michelle Connor from Duncan. 2 nieces and nephews, also numerous cousins and countless friends. Noah was predeceased by the death of his grandfather, David Smith, and great-grandmother, Lurleen Smith. Serving as pallbearers was Skylar Stengall, Dalen Presgrove, Keith Smith, Ron Fowler, Russell Fowler, Jeff Fowler, DJ Elliott, and the honorary bearers was Kaiser Moser, Travis Fowler, Clayton Smith, and Jack Newton. Online condolences can be sent to Comanche fh@pldi.net. So it looks like a lot of them were planting trees, buying trees in memory of Noah. So, his autopsy, guys, a little bit unusual. There's so many conflicting stories when it comes to what happened this night that we're going to basically have to sift through it and figure out what we believe. Because let's see, it says these cases that are gray, not black and white. And this is definitely one of them. Well, let's get this over and done with and see what we can learn. Is there music? Okay. Saddest story, you guys. Sounded like he got fairly tanked. No! I did it again. I'm going to refresh this. All right, okay. Okay, let's try this again. I'm clicking where I shouldn't be clicking. Yeah. So Jeremy Wilson has been the sheriff in Jefferson County, Oklahoma since 2017 and worked in law enforcement since 2005 and served in the military before that. He says he has never seen anything quite like the death of 19-year-old Noah Presgrove. Wilson, let me get rid of this, was one of the first authorities on the scene in early September. They had 2 911 calls, and I'm pretty sure I've got them set up for you guys. Now, these callers were reporting seeing Noah's body while driving down Highway 81 just outside of Terrell, Oklahoma. And this place was only about a mile down the highway from where this party was. It just looked awful odd, the first caller, who identified only as Tyler, told the dispatcher, according to the audio call. Under Sheriff Jimmy Williams was soon sent out. Sheriff Wilson joined him. Not long after that, members of the Terrell Volunteer Fire Department also helped with securing that scene. So it's been nearly a year, and it is still unclear how Noah died. His autopsy report states he was killed by multiple blunt force injuries, including some serious head and neck wounds, like vertebrae fractures. State police, the probe is ongoing, as it should be. There has been no answers. None. They've just found this kid on the side of the road. the place that was having this party, the house wasn't even searched. And I've heard different things about that house being deep cleaned. It's not absolute. I've only seen it a couple of times, but why was that house deep cleaned? Some key details have been publicly confirmed, including that before he passed, Noah was partying with friends over the Labor Day weekend, not far from where he was found on Highway 81. But the lack of answers more than 10 months later has roiled the rural community where Noah lived and fueled speculation online, I would say. Vigils and protests have been held. A banner outside of a business in neighboring Duncan, Oklahoma, urges passerbyers to speak out. You know what happened to me, so why don't you tell? This is alongside a photo of Noah. Let me see what we're going here. So did he pass accidentally, or was this a crime? What happened to his clothes? What happened to him on the side of the road that day? In the fetal position about a mile up the highway from where this party was. 2 different shoes, and a lot of damage was done to him. I do have the autopsy, so we'll probably take a look at that. So before we get there, I'll just say trigger warning. If this type of thing is disturbing to you because some of it is graphic, don't hesitate to come back later. What I saw from the very beginning, I personally did not believe this was a hit and run, Wilson, the Jefferson County Sheriff, said in an interview, while also making it clear that he was speaking only in his capacity as a first responder in September. But the state immediately assumed jurisdiction, given the death was reported on a highway. What Wilson saw that morning was this. He says Noah was naked and on his back with a couple of teeth laying next to his body. According to the autopsy, he only wore a pair of mismatched shoes, and a pair of white printed shorts were nearby that showed no obvious damage. There was blood on the scene, but not as much as there should have been. There was only a little spot, and this kid was hurt. So even if you were even if you were hit by a passenger car on the highway that night, there should have been a lot more blood. What's more, he says there was not a lot of road rash, like he slid. He got hit at 65 miles an hour. That was not the case. The autopsy does state that Noah's body suffered some road rash-like damage. Also odd, according to Wilson, there was no vehicular parts on the road or anywhere for that matter. Dr. Priya Banerjee, a board-certified forensic pathologist and outside expert unconnected to this case, also said the lack of car debris was unusual in a hit-and-run case. I can't look at the injuries and say I know exactly how these occurred, and that's why it's undetermined. Was it a car accident like a hit and run? Was it an intentional strike with a vehicle? Did someone beat him up and dump him? There's so many possibilities about the injury pattern and how to narrow it down further. But of the blood on the scene, she notes that Noah's neck and skull fractures would mean a rapid death and thus yield a little bleeding. If you hit a deer, okay, let's do that again. If you hit a deer, which deer get hit out here all the time? Always deer and cows. I don't care if you got hit by a semi. There is a piece of a fender. There's a piece under the fender. There's a headlight. There's a mirror. There's always something. Despite searching through half a mile of the ditches, investigators found nothing. Authorities did recover some, but not all, of a silver chain that Noah often wore. Wilson calls that another oddity. The whole situation did not sit well with me, he said, noting the unusual inability of the scene itself to provide more insight. We've had people hit before, and we can recreate the scene and make it make sense, make it fill the gaps, the sheriff says. We had unattended deaths, suies, and the evidence always gives us the facts. We can always backtrack and recreate 99% of the scene, but not here. Sarah Stewart, a spokesperson for Oklahoma's Department of Public Safety, said that the probe continues into Noah's passing and citing standard procedures, declining to release documents or information on this case until the conclusion of the investigation. So young. Under Sheriff Williams, in a separate interview, said he only alerted the fire department to their initial assistance on September 4th, rather than put out a broader alert that would have summoned more law enforcement and potentially created chaos. I didn't want a madhouse down there, he said. In addition to the firefighters on the scene, as well as members of the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, some locals were also present for a time, according to Wilson. Noah's best friend, Jack Newton, was among them, as well as Jack's dad, Caleb. So we will hear a little bit more about these two. Jack tells People magazine that he basically stumbled upon the scene that morning as he was heading out to go fishing with his father and grandfather. He stopped when he had seen the semi-truck on the road by Noah. I saw lights, so I started slowing down. I could see Noah's body in the headlights out of the truck. Tyler Hardy was one of the two 911 callers that morning and remained on the scene after reporting Noah's body. Hardy says the truck driver and the other caller returned and waited as well. When Jack pulled up, he walked up to the body, and I walked over and asked him if he knew who it was, Hardy said. And then I pulled him away from the body because he's talking about being his best friend. He described seeing Noah's body in a slightly different posture than Wilson did, a discrepancy that appeared in other interviews as well. It was, I'm not going to say the fetal position because it wasn't, but his legs were bent and his back was towards the road, Hardy said. His legs were towards the ditch and his head was kind of just laid there along the side. His whole body was laying along the white line, but he was laying on what would seem to be what had been seen as his right side. Around 7 a.m., Noah's older brother, Dalen Presgrove, a teacher, got a call that he had been found deceased. Dalen and their dad, Victor Presgrove, headed out to Highway 81 to go to the scene. We didn't know exactly where he was, so as we were going, we'd go up the hill, not knowing if we were about to see Noah on the side of the road. That drive felt like a year, and the months since have been difficult. This is not some Lifetime movie for us, said Noah. Cousins Ashley Chadwick, this is everyday reoccurrence. I feel like we probably have not properly grieved because it's been an ongoing cycle of trying to figure this out. But Noah's loved ones have rallied around his memory, describing him as fun, fearless, an athlete, and an easygoing young man who planned on going to the military. Wow. Pretty damn sad, you guys. Pretty damn sad. How's everybody doing? Do you know what, Dandy? That's exactly what it reminds me of as Stephen Smith's passing. Yeah, I'm not sure When they picked him up, now I don't know how long it was that they waited, but I've been reading that rigor had already set in. And as we know, that takes a little bit of time. And they're saying that, he basically left around 4-ish. And they found him just after 5. So I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. It's not making a lot of sense to me, I guess, is the best thing I can say about that. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is from the medical examiner, and they're talking about Noah Alexander Nichols, age 19, born on May 14th, 2004. It gives the troopers' names: Trooper Zach Wright. Injuries or became ill at, unknown. Location of the death, we've got it in GPS. And body viewed by medical examiner in Oklahoma City in an autopsy lab. And it's not giving me a name right here, but it's giving the address. Transportation, and they're saying that this was a heavy or a pedestrian or an other unknown. Arms, legs, complete. A little bit of stubble with brown hair, brown eyes. A little bit of stubble for a mustache. Body length, 73 inches, 175 pounds. Decedent, who was found on the side of the highway on September 4th, died of multiple blunt force injuries. Manner of death unknown, but we do know the probable cause is most likely multiple blunt force injuries. There's a few things, not just one, that could have ended him. So here it's just basically saying that Noah Alexander, age 19, his birth again, race, sex, and the case number. He was ID'd by a visual tag, usually one of those toe tags. Present at the autopsy was Jessica Gary, an investigator, Jason Roberts Parks, a pathology assistant. Okay, so this again is the trigger warning. If anybody is a little bit or more than a little bit uncomfortable, I'll put this up a tad. No, give me 2 seconds. Okay, that's better. So I'm going to actually, while I'm testing that, can you guys tell me, I'm going to push mute. And can you please tell me if you still hear me? Because I am having problems with my setup here a little bit. Okay. 1, 2, 3, mute. Can you guys hear me at all? Hey, Douglas. Good to see you, Dingo. Mexi, can you hear me at all? Okay. You can still hear me? And I've pushed mute. I should be muted. Okay, you guys can still hear me? Hi, Tina. Okay, so what about... Hang on here. Okay, I'm going to test it again in a little bit here. Let's get over to this. Okay, so the first is multiple blunt force injuries. Can you guys hear me now? Hello, hello? Mexi, can you hear me okay? You can, okay. So I'm not muting out. It's not, my mute's not working. Okay, that'll be for a later time. Okay, so his head and neck abraded. Okay, I'm not going to understand all of these medical terms. Abraded, avulsion, okay. Avulsion lacerations of the left top of the head. Subjacent abrasions to the lateral left eyebrow. Corner of the left eye and the cheek and left ear, associated with lacerations and the left side of his neck. Abrasions on the right back of the head, so back in the head, behind the ear, and the subjacent posterior right neck. Broken upper and lower teeth with abrasions on the midline mucosa of the upper lip and laceration on the midline mucosa of the lower lip. Laceration on the left surface of the tongue. So did he bite it? Subcutaneous scalp and subgaleal hemorrhages on the parietal, occipital, bilateral, temporal, and left frontal regions of the head. I have no idea what I just said. All righty. Left temporals, muscle lacerations and hemorrhage. Fractures on the left okay, let's do that again. See if I can get it. Okay, left parietal, temporal, and frontal bones. Basic skull fracture splitting the base of the skull in two. Anterior and posterior, and extending to the left temporal and sphenoid bones around the occipital bone. Additional separate fractures of the occipital bone extending to the edges of the foramen and magnum and occipital condyles. Mexi, do you understand all this? Thank you. Occipital area is the cervical, spine, and upper neck. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Subdural hemorrhage of approximately 20 millimeters, bilateral, arachnoid hemorrhage, swelling of the brain, lacerations of the inferior surface of the left temporal lobe, brainstem, and its adjacent cerebral vessels and left cerebellum. Cervical or the neck fracture at C1, C2, C6, and C7. Misalignment of C1 and occipital condyle. Okay, there we are, guys. Phenoma, I'm not even going to try that. They look like possible lung. Phenoric, yeah, I'm not even going to try. So again, we have cause of death, multiple blunt force injuries, and manner of death undetermined. So there has been a couple of things that have been said about what could have happened at this party he was at. Noah was very loaded. He was very, very loaded. A lot of different things are being said, possibly him being injured or killed with a baseball bat. They're also talking about, in certain cases, they're talking about golf clubs. They're talking every once in a while about a group of kids called the Texas Boys. And they're not able to make any sense of this because, seriously, nobody has been talking. They literally wiped everything. They deleted everything from their phones, and they deleted everything from their Snapchat and their other social media platforms that they had been taking of this party. All of these kids deleted everything that they could. Now, they're also saying about 40 kids. This was like a 3-day party. And I do believe it started on the 2nd. And this happened to Noah on the 4th. Yeah, about 40 people in and out of that house. There's, they also talk about Caleb, who is Jack's dad, being at that party. He says he wasn't. There's a lot of conflicting stories. So the torso, broad abrasions on the upper back containing black material, abrasions showing combined linear and vericized pinpoint to round to irregular patterns involving, now these are individual patterns, involving the left upper back, shoulders, posterior left arm, and left side of the torso. Abrasions on his butt, abrasions with vericized pinpoint to round to irregular abrasions on the left side of his butt. Lacerations of the right and left lung with contusions, left pulmonary vessels, left atrium of the heart, spleen, and proximal stomach. Soft tissue hemorrhage of the posterior upper chest cavity, bilateral hemothoraces of at least 1,200 milliliters in, I think that's supposed to say total, hemopericardium of at least 150 mil, hempoperitoneum. I'm doing my best here at about at least 20 milliliters. Bilateral scapular fractures, bilateral posterior rib fractures as follows. The right 1 through 5 and 8 ribs. On the left side, 2 and 5 ribs. Thoracic vertebral fractures, T1, T2, T4, T9, and T11. Bilateral phomothoracis left more than right. Extremities, abrasions on the right arm and forearm, left elbow, thighs, knees, legs, and right foot, side of the right ankle and side of the right hip. Contusions at the back of his right heel and no evidence of fractures. So the opinion, in consideration of the circumstances surrounding the death, autopsy examination, and toxicology results, the death of Noah Alexander Nicholas is due to multiple blunt force injuries. The deceased was found naked, wearing only a pair of shoes on the side of a highway on the morning of September 4th, 2023. There was no vehicle parts or debris observed at the scene. At this time, what transpired on how the body was found on the road having multiple blunt force injuries is unknown. Therefore, the manner of death is deemed undetermined. The autopsy was performed on the body of Noah Alexander Nichols at the Office of Chief Medical Examiner at Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, on September 5th, 2023, at about 1300 hours. Circumstances of his death. The decedent was a 19-year-old male who was found on the southbound side of a highway by a passing truck driver on September 4th, 2023. So this has not even been a complete year yet, you guys. We're still only months. They need to take a look at these kids. You know, they didn't even go into this house for a search. They did none of that. Even with everybody saying that, you know, there was a deep clean done. I don't know. So it was about 5:53 a.m. that this truck driving on 81 found Noah. He was naked and was only wearing unmatched shoes. There was a pair of shorts found several feet away from the decedent and was reported to be his. Additionally, there were 3 pieces of white metal chain as well as part of a tooth present several feet from the decedent. There was also a clump of hair found within one of the lanes of the highway several feet from the decedent. Additionally, a clump of hair was observed on the right buttocks without blood or tissue. The paved highway consists of 2 lanes with shoulders on both sides. Good lordy, I'm sorry, guys. I just haven't got it figured yet. Okay. So let's see here. He was found on a paved highway that consisted of 2 lanes with shoulders on both sides with a speed limit of 65 miles per hour. The highway was poorly lit at night. There was no vehicle parts or debris observed at the scene. Further investigation revealed that the decedent was at a house party and drinking on September 3rd, 2023. Then he rode an ATV Ranger vehicle with several friends, and they had a rollover incident. The decedent was alive following this incident and returned to the party where he got into an argument with his girlfriend. Now, some are saying girlfriend, a lot of people are saying friend. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if he had a girlfriend or not. The decedent left the house party and was not found until the morning of September 4th, 2023. So they're saying that the last time they had seen him, though, was about 4 a.m. So fairly fast they found him. Identification was made by a visual tag. External examination. The body was received sealed with the seal number 1422-735, along with the Oklahoma Office of the Chief Medical Examiner identification tag. The body that was of a normally developed and nourished Caucasian male appeared about the age of 19. They give his body measurements, 170 pounds, 73 inches. So it does say here that rigor mortis was complete. What time did they get him? So are they talking about when they found him he was in rigor? Or when they autopsied him? The pink-purple liver mortis was present posteriorly and fixed except in areas exposed to pressure. The body was received wearing only an unmatched pair of shoes. The right side shoe was a Hey Dude brand with regular tied shoelace containing more debris and grass inside. There was no observable damage to the shoes. If he was dragged, these shoes would have came off and there would not be much left to the front end, if anything, of the bottom of those shoes, if he was drugged. They're talking about the white metal chain, contained 3 pieces of white metal chain and a tooth containing a broken half of a tooth consistent with a molar. Scalp hair was brown, eyes and white. Medical terms. sclerae, pale conjunctive, and brown irids around a 5 millimeter, a 5 millimeter dilation of the right and left pupils. Respectively, there is no evidence of petechiae, which means he was probably not grabbed around the throat to be deleted. Hematoma, injuries, or lesions present. The dentation was natural. There was stubble. There was no evidence of petechiae or lesions identified in the oral mucosa. There were no massive discernible in the neck or the larynx was in the midline. The thorax was symmetrical. The abdomen was flat. The external genitalia were those of a normal male, circumcised male. There was drying artifact on the scrotum. The back and extremities showed no significant deformities. So a lot of people lose their bowels and what have you when they pass away. So that is fairly normal. There was a drawing in black ink of a stick figure person on the side of a right thigh. The girls, it looks like there was some videos where they were, he might have been passed out and they were drawing on him. I mean, you see that a lot when kids are partying. I mean, I did it myself. Okay, and there was a cluster of parallel linear scars on the posterior left arm and elbow. There were additional scars of different shapes on the rest of his extremities. There were scabs present on the right upper lip and palmar surfaces of the right thumb and index fingers. So I have heard, I don't know if they're going to get into it in much detail here, but a lot of the different things that I've read have said that his fingers were shredded, which is very, very interesting. Could that be from being drugged by his feet and leaving that behind, like leaving his head and fingers? Because that seems to be where he's missing skin and hair. There's scab on the right side of the nose, back of the right hand, including 3rd through 5th knuckles, middle phalanges. Phalanges? Hey, is that what Phoebe says? This phalanges of the index to the 5th finger and distal phalanx of the right finger. There were healed abrasions on the lower back. Back of the left hand included the 5th knuckle and middle phalanx. I'm sorry, I know I'm screwing these right up. Of the 5th finger, posterior left ankle, medial heel of the left foot, and dorsum of the left foot. There was a round healing ulcer on the posterior right thigh. There was drying of the palmar surfaces of the hands. There was skin slippage and bullae on the right upper back and left knee. There was a cluster of 10 horizontal linear interruption abrasions on the left abdomen. Swabs, oral, penile, and anal hair, scalp, and pubic hair. Fingernail clippings and photographs were obtained. There was no evidence of any kind of treatment. There was no evidence of postmortem tissue donation. Evidence of injury, multiple blunt force injuries. So now we are into the head and neck external examination that revealed a 4.5 by 2 inch abraded avulsion laceration having a fish-like appearance, having drying artifact on the left frontal parietal scalp with exposure of the bone. There was adjacent abrasions on the lateral left eyebrow, corner of the left eye, and left cheek. So, it does sound like, it sounds like he could have been beat up. That's my opinion. It sounds like he could have been beat up. Oh, Lordy. There are subjacent abrasions on the lateral left eyebrow, corner of the left eye, left cheek, front of the left ear with associated lacerations on the antihelix and concha, and left side of the neck. There was abrasions on the right back of the head behind the right ear, and subjacent posterior right neck. There was blooding coming out from the right and left ears. The upper and lower teeth were broken with a few fragments found inside his mouth. There was white abrasions on the middle mucosa of the upper lip. Most of this is a little bit repetitive. But what I am finding interesting, it's down here a little bit, that a lot of these things, like the head, free of neoplastic lesions, the neck, no abnormality, cardiovascular system, major arteries, and great veins showed normal distribution. Respiratory system was unremarkable. Tubulary system, unremarkable. Hemolymphatics, no significant lymphomadenopathy. I'm not even going there, guys. Alimentary system was unremarkable. Pancreas, unremarkable. Endocrine system were each unremarkable. Muscular skeletal system free of any significant abnormalities. They did do radiographs. And this is the laboratory analysis. Now, the material was submitted through blood, vitreous, urine, liver, and brain. So, ethyl alcohol, blood 0.14, heart. Vitreous was 18 grams. Other carbon monoxide was in the blood. Test performed EAI for the femoral blood, amphetamine, is that just meth? Is that meth? I don't know. Fentanyl, cocaine, opiates, PCP, all of this stuff. And you know what? None detected. The only thing that this kid had in his system was alcohol. No detection of oxy, nothing of methadone, nothing of clonazepam, no benzodiazepines, barbiturates, none of any of this stuff. So, brother and friends of Noah Presgrove speak on this suspicious death. Suspicious, you think? Why would he be walking? He didn't even live. He didn't even live around there. Why is this kid walking? Allegedly. Okay, let's see what we've got here, friends.
Perspective, he feels like something much more sinister might have happened, that people at this party know something but just aren't saying.
I believe this is his tooth right here. His pants were folded up on that square mark.
His pants were there, his tooth was right there in that circle.
I believe so, yeah.
So it's really, really interesting. I don't know if they're going to show everything, but going the opposite direction, he lost a tooth. Highway goes this way, but it looks like if he was drugged, it would have been going into oncoming traffic, is what I'm trying to say.
And his body was here. And he was in the fetal position, facing that way.
Have you ever heard them say foul play is suspected?
I've heard suspected of foul play, suspicious death. And again, they don't tell me everything because they don't want to ruin the investigation, but they said that they've got a couple of people in mind on the situation, and that they're really looking in on them.
Form.
As they need to. So these are the 911 calls that were made that evening. Early in the morning, I guess. Early.
911, what is your emergency?
Crank up your volume.
Jumped down the road and I had a bunch of cars behind me, but it looked like somebody got hit, like somebody walking down the highway laying on the shoulder of the road.
It looks like somebody's laying in the road.
Not like on the shoulder, like maybe they were walking and somebody hit them and left it with a deer. It looked like a body.
Okay. You said so on Highway 81.
In between Ryan and Terrell, just north of Terrell, it's probably about 3 miles, kind of in a low spot.
Okay. And is that gonna be? I'm trying to think which way that highway runs. Is it gonna be on your east, west, north, or south? I'm trying to think. I'm sorry.
It goes north and south. It runs down a Duncan.
Okay. So what side of the road is that on?
It'd be on the west side of the road.
Okay. Let me see who I have on duty to go check that out.
It looks awful odd.
Okay. What is your name and number so if the officer has any questions?
It's Tyler 580.
I will get a hold of the officer and go get it checked out.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. 911, what is your emergency?
Yes, ma'am. I was driving to work from south of Terrell, or north of Terrell, south of Ryan. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody laying dead along the road. They look naked. I'm staying back.
Okay, I just had 2 calls on that, and I have a deputy headed that way.
All right. Well, I'm
And
sitting
you-
here blocking the road
Oh, are you there waiting? Okay.
because he's right. The body's laying right on the white line.
Oh, it is a boy. He's naked and he's laying on the white line. He's naked.
I turned around because I just about hit it because there's a deer run across the road, and like first I thought it was a deer, and I was talking to a guy at work. I'm like, I don't think that's a deer.
Yeah, that's what my first caller said. Thought it was a deer, and then when he looked back and he said, "No, there's no way that's a deer."
No, and it actually looks like there's a piece of clothing maybe laying in the middle of the road. Now, I don't want to get too close. I just
No, this is
Don't.
another 911 call that's looking at it.
Oh, she's already been in touch with Jeremy.
Okay. Yeah, Jeremy's gonna head that way.
Jeremy's heading that way. She's coming
Okay.
up.
all right.
Okay. So you're staying there, or?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and make sure nobody runs it over or anything
Okay.
else.
Not yet.
I have a patron art recording party staying there until a deputy gets there to block so nobody hits them.
There is a recording party that's going to sit there with flashers on it. So,
Okay, I appreciate it. Can I get your name and well, you're going
Yeah,
to
my
be
name.
there. Okay.
Yeah, my name.
Okay. Are you the one I just talked to?
No.
Oh, okay, because I had another Tyler call me too. Okay.
Oh.
What is your
No,
phone number?
It's well, let me remember my work. 580. I'm on my work phone, but I don't ever remember that
Yeah.
number. That's my personal phone number I just gave you.
Okay, no, that's fine. Just for my logs of all the 911 calls I'm getting on it. But I do have the sheriff headed there and an undersheriff headed there too.
All right.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Wow.
In the
hey.
harsh elements of Hurricane Beryl.
Ah. So, found by truckers that morning. My system is running pretty slow. Okay, so this is from a girl by the name of Kaylee. She's got some of the text messages that were going around that night. So we're going to take a look at a couple of them and see what the kids were saying.
And she is going on a rant about how the kids at the party are not guilty of anything, pretty much.
Oh, it's not narrated. Stevie Howard, I'm sure it will all come out in the trial very soon. I also have faith any all involved will be charged as such. Stevie Howard. Cheryl Lynn, Martin Cab, just different is all. Not saying I'm better or you are. Honestly, in most part, I think I say that because I know I would never have to. Maybe it would be different if it actually ever happened. But right now, if you want an honest answer, oh, it's going fast. I'll pause it. We'll just go through a couple of these. All of the boys exited the vehicle. None of them stayed inside the vehicle. My son did not see Mr. Hardy nor Mr. Hardy's vehicle. You're aware that other boys from that vehicle stated that they saw Noah wearing black shorts. I remember that. I've heard that. An adult male was standing beside Jack's open driver door where Jack too was standing. How do you know the service truck driver didn't come from the north and make a U-turn on the road? I take what Stevie says with a grain of salt. She is grasping at straws. Explain how there is audio of Jack saying he found the black shorts on the road and tossed them into the back of his truck. There's a lot going on as far as Jack. So Jack was his best friend. Where one was, the other was as well. Now they're saying that Jack might have been part of a group that did this to him, or he might have been the person that did this. And was his dad Caleb there? I don't see why he would remove the black shorts from where his best friend was found deceased. Oh, wow. That last part got me. They have audio of him actually saying that. Yes, ma'am. Does Ellie have the audio? Also, have these so-called cameras Stevie is referring to been checked, or is this deflection? I would assume as the investigators have them. This is the chit-chat from these kids at the party. Well, in other comments, she claims the cameras weren't working, but now stating they were. So where's the footage of Noah walking away? If they exist, yes, that would be great. But that doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. I would assume as an investigator that the investigator has them. Well, if the investigator has them, shouldn't the law have them as well? The she was talking about are at Bub's house in Gates. That is across from the mini mart. There used to be cameras at the house that Avery lives in. There are cameras at Dad's gate and around his house that is across from the convenience store. Did any of these kids have 360 on their phones? Good question. I know 2 that did, but not sure about the others. But I've said this from the start. Any iPhone has the Find My Phone app as well. Yes, it does. Stevie didn't state in her post about her dad's camera being south on down the road. Sort of led me to assume the dad's cameras was relevant to the property that the party house was on. I haven't read every convo on these threads. I replied to Stevie with the assumption. I do, however, hope that every innocent kid gets absolved of any suspicion, and soon. So, that's the thing. That's the thing. Where is all this information that should be given to the cops? Where is this? They talk about it, but mind you, like I said, in some of the conversations and some of the articles, not movies, but broadcasts that I've seen, there is so much contradiction that I don't even know how a person would find. It'd have to be a thorough investigation, I suppose, and that's what they should be doing. Let me see here. Okay, let's just see if I have anything else to add here. Yeah, there was a lot of kids with money. Their families had money, and that's one of the things they're talking about is, it might be that situation again. It might be that situation. And yeah, I noticed those train tracks as well, and it gave me pause. It did. Well, that could be the thing. That could very well be. That's what a lot of people are looking at right now. Yes, he was picked up from a friend at a gas station, from the house owner, or taken to the party directly by a friend. There's conflicting statements. And that's the thing. There are so many conflicting statements. What we do know is that he was found about 5:30 in the morning on Highway 81 by a trucker. He was found with a stick figure drawn on his leg, multiple injuries. Now they're saying about these white shorts that were found by him that they were in good shape, and many are explaining it as being that they were folded up. Again, not a lot of blood on scene. When you hear all of these damages, that gives me question about what the hell is going on. Where's all the DNA? Because we all know that, as a kid, if you get bonked in the head, you look like Carrie. It comes down bad. It makes a big mess. I feel like we're looking at John O'Keefe again. Where the hell is the DNA? Now, if he got hit by a vehicle, like some people are saying, how did those shoes stay on? He was wearing one of his, and then he was wearing one of them, they're telling me, is a slide-on shoe. The kid did talk, that was left with the mismatched pair. He has talked to law enforcement, and it doesn't seem like really he had much to add. Again, there's about 40 people in and out of the house. And again, Caleb, who is Jack's dad, was he at the party? There's some pretty sketchy things being said about Jack's dad at the moment as well. There's rumors going around that Noah got into 2 fights that night. One was a girlfriend and one was a friend. They were playing that. I don't know if you guys ever, when you guys were kids, these guys were doing it on the face, but you slap, and we always did it on the arm and what have you, but they were playing the slap game on the face. So did that turn into something? I don't know. And then there's that ATV we heard about. Some people are saying that he was seriously injured, that he had hurt his head. Other people are saying that the ATV was in perfect condition and there was no harm to anybody. If he got hit by a vehicle, why were all these injuries once again waist up? It makes no sense to me. And if you're going to get clipped by a mirror or something, it's going to, first off, you're going to see the debris from the accident. And if they're going 65 miles an hour, it's going to leave a big mark. One of the things the girls were saying is that at one point, Noah stripped down to absolutely nothing and was running around the house. They're saying that these girls gave him a bath or a shower. They cleaned him up because he was dirty. He was a mess for some reason. And then he possibly started, after he was cleaned up, started running around the party with all the junk in his trunk out. They're saying also that it was hard to get Noah dressed that night, but the girls were able to talk him into putting on a pair of white boxers. Some of his friends say black boxers. I don't know. I'm a little concerned that all these kids deleted their social media. 2 different shoes. Yes, 2 different. Yeah. Yeah, he did. He had a lot of upper body injuries. And again, not a whole lot waist down. Yeah. And I mean, that's the way it looks to me, Dandy. That's the way it looks to me. So it was Tyler Hardy that we listened to, the truck driver. Why were these kids deleting all their photos, their Snapchats, their social media, their phones? Why were they deleting all of this stuff? That's right, Dingo, no debris. They found a tooth. They're saying folded up boxers. And then a little bit further down, they say that they find Noah in the fetal position, facing towards those train tracks. Okay, so now we've got Jack. A lot of these party goers, and they don't give us their names, so I'm just party goers, right? They're saying that there's a possibility that Jack came into the house, they're saying about 5:15 a.m., saying that Noah like literally bust through the doors is what this one kid is saying. And saying that Noah was dead. Noah's dead. Well, that's before anyone found his body. So what the hell is going on with that? He was only about a mile down the road. So is that because Jack helped put him there? Is this even a fact? Did he actually go into there saying this? I don't know. They haven't really done their due diligence when it comes to talking to all of these kids. So one of the friends, his name is Caden. Now he's the one that got the opposite pair of shoes. He had it was his Hey Dudes, and he was wearing Noah's, I think it was an Adidas. He had the matched pair to what Noah was wearing. So if these kids actually knew what happened there, why did nobody call 911? If there was an injury on that side-by-side, why would nobody call anyone? If he was beat up in that house or a barn, they're talking about a barn that was possibly burned down as a place that he could have been deleted at that party. One of the stories that's going around is that Jack attacked Noah, with a golf club. They're also saying when they cleaned up, there was a lot of golf clubs that were thrown out. Was he deleted in the barn? Was he deleted in that house? Did something happen to him on Highway 81? The house was never searched. They're talking about the Texas Boys, which is a group of kids that they rival. There's talk about possibly Noah being all drunk walking down that highway and these Texas boys getting a hold of him. Again, rumor. Now, they are also saying that Jack was polygraphed and that he passed. He passed his polygraph. Very interesting. There's also talk that there is a fight club going on there. The last time I heard about a fight club was in Kylie Rodney's case, when there was video of those kids doing this fight club. So hit and run has been ruled out. Foul play is still questionable. Some people are wondering if he was pushed out of a moving vehicle or possibly pushed out of the box of this vehicle. You know, Comanche is a very small area. Comanche and the surrounding area is about 1,400 people, and that is it. So everyone knows everyone. Is this going to be a case where everybody just keeps their mouth sealed and we don't learn anything? Is this how it's going to be? When I think about kids, they don't have the best control when it comes to talking, do they? So there's a good chance that a kid might slip up, you know, that the cops just want to talk to them. And they get spooked and they start telling some truths. That's all it's going to take if something happened there. Now, when Noah was 17, he emancipated himself from his parents and moved in with his grandparents. His birth parents are split up, but for whatever reason, at 17, he emancipated himself and moved in with his grandparents. I'm not finding out why. I'm not finding out what was going on in that house. And in many things that I've read, they've also said that Noah's fingers were shredded. And what that makes me think of is maybe someone pulling him, or a vehicle pulling him and trying to stop, right? And how would he get like the stuff on the back of his heads? How would he be missing scalp? One part on his butt and another piece in the middle of the road. Was he being drugged? I don't freaking know, you guys. There's no tire marks for somebody trying to bolt and take off. There's no tire marks for anyone trying to make a fast stop. And it's also going around, we heard this again with Kylie Rodney. It's also going around that the parents are saying, keep your lips sealed, kids. Don't say a word. Don't get involved. Stay the hell out of this mess. So if that's the case, it might take a little longer. No, you're right, Tina. And no tire marks on him either. You're very, very right. The scene was never protected. It was never secured. The house was never searched. The kid had no tire marks on him, no tire marks on the road, no debris. Everybody in the area that was in that group over that long weekend deleted their social media. And some people are saying he could have been pushed from a moving vehicle. Like, give me a break. There's so many odd injuries with this one, you guys. I'd love to know. I'll see. Like, I'm going to see how this plays out, because I want to know who showered this kid. I want to know if there was a fight club happening that night. I want to know if Noah got into 2 fights with other people at this party. I also want to know, where's the footage from the body cam or from the CCTV that is supposed to be around there? There is a lot that we don't know, guys. Like, there is a lot. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, the house not being searched is a major red flag. Do you think so? You think he was hit as well? Yeah, I mean, yeah, my skinny pigs, my skinny pigs. Oh, James. Thank you for including those non-fur babies. Well, and that's the thing, Dingo. Was he both in a fight and then possibly something happened to him on that road as well? That's a bad freaking day. I think what happens in that situation is that it's severed. I do believe that they will be severed. Yes, that's right. Yep, for sure. Oh, this is it. I mean, we don't know, do we? We don't know what happened. I think you're right, Dandy. I think it was staged. I think it was staged. And most of the family thinks it was staged. You know, everybody is wanting justice for this kid. I mean, he had a lot of life left. Yeah. His grandmother, oh my word, I feel bad for her. So what do you guys think of the what do you think of that autopsy? It just leaves us still wondering, doesn't it? Yeah, and they're saying hit and run, not likely. Yeah. Yeah, something really not good happened to him, James. Something really not good. I feel sorry for the family. I've watched where his sister has spoken out. I've watched where the grandma, I've watched where an aunt has spoken out. And everybody says really, really good kid, very athletic, looking for a scholarship through as athletics because he was doing so well. So he did have plans to possibly go to university. He had a lot of life left in him. It's just a sad story. Just a sad, sad story. And again, this happened last September. So there is still a possibility that they will continue to work on this and that Noah will get some kind of justice. If it was a hit and run, there's still a crime here. If someone left him on that road, there's a crime there. If somebody beat the snot out of him at this party, there's a crime there. Nobody's saying a word. There is a crime there. Oh, Lordy. I seen a school friend lose his head while on a train. Oh, fuck. we were still going to school at the same time. There's about 40 of us going to the city. Oh, dingo. That's horrible. Like, that's horrible. You're not supposed to see that shite. Oh, I'm sorry for your friend. I'm sorry for your experience. Lordy, lordy. So, guys, I am going to leave it there. Before I go, I do want to say that, let me get there. Give me 2 seconds. I'm stumbling over a name right now that I should not be stumbling over. That's why I am. Okay, Caleb. There we are. Caleb Harris from Texas was the body that they found in that pump house. They just put that out. I think it was last night. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything on that, if I'm going to do a fast live, or if I'm just going to wait for more information. I will play it by ear. But that body that was found in that pump house was Caleb Harris's body. Another mystery. How the hell did that kid end up there? Ugh. Yes. Yes. So, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you ever so much for spending your time with me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Hit that bell because my times are never, I don't have set times. I just stream when something pops up. So don't miss us. We got a great chat, lots to learn. And yeah, thank you once again. And I'll see you guys soon in the next one. Bye.